So let's begin to arrive. We have a short, precious time together, and get yourself comfy. Any place doesn't have to be. I set up a place, and I want to show you. It's hard to see these back here, but these are clover that I picked along the side of the road. They're just giant, big clover. And yesterday, I got this one tulip from a young friend. It wilted, but as I brought it home on my bike, it revived in the water. So nice to have little decorations here, but that's not essential for you. Make sure you're just comfortable. You might be seated. Maybe you're sitting on a chair on your couch. Maybe you're on your bed. Any position. Just let's now receive the gift of just being right here, of arriving where we are together through Sun and Moon Studios YouTube portal. And what do you do to arrive, to be present, to just be here? There's not a mandate right now to be completely still, but you might find yourself getting still. It's almost like I'm asking you, which I will be asking you, to listen. We could start with that one actually. My three prompts for coming into this gate for presence is gateless gate of presence is today we'll start with sound, then we'll go to breath, and then we'll go to ground, kind of the opposite way I usually go. And when I suggest listen, I might be listening with not just our ears, but with every cell of our being, with all the senses in a synesthesia like way. And notice how the body and the mind quiets when we listen. This is just such a huge chapter. Did I read that poem last week from the Dog Songs book of I think I did, of how deeply we can listen. And then feel and listen for how the listening feels, what your shoulders do, your eyes, your face, this inner channel of the sort of a mouth, throat, heart, gut, deeper gut, lungs in there, and the breathing muscle kind of between the heart and the belly, that diaphragm muscle. And you might already feel that you're so much more here than you were a little while ago. And we're never not here, but we're fragmented. Our attention is fragmented, and we're only usually recognizing just a small piece of what is. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's how a lot of beautiful and kind things get done by the attention to something, some small sliver of our wholeness. But it's so useful to pan out and to include all of ourself, and we can do this best or practice it when we're still and quiet. And then we can start, as we're more practiced with it, we can actually focus on something particular and feel and be in the bigger picture as well. So, sound. And now, as you've gotten quiet, perhaps you're feeling your breath. we get a little quieter. The breath, which is very could be more subtle than some of our other thinking and movements. But as when we watch for the wind, we don't actually see the wind, but we see the evidence of the wind and how it's moving branches, leaves, our hair, our clothing, our scarves, the grasses. And likewise, we can feel with our breath that our belly is moving. We might feel where our breath feels more restricted, where it bumps up against something and there's a wall or a tightness. So interesting how we can the depth and breadth of all that we can feel and experience and acknowledge in ourselves. And so I feel like when we feel the breath, we can, similar to listening, feel it with all our senses as well as our knowing and intuition. And we can feel perhaps the whole body expanding a little, lifting on the in breath and contracting on the out breath. Shape, shape changing, shape shifting with the breath. And as one of you pointed out recently, just this practice of even for a couple minutes or a minute, or even for three full breaths, pausing and just taking three full breaths with your attention following them can really lower blood pressure, can calm our whole nervous system down. And finally, we sense gravity. We sense in this sort of vertical column we find ourselves of gravity and its partner levity. Gravity, like maybe the string of a helium balloon, the string dropped anywhere, maybe in your shoulder, your thigh, from the top of your head down through like a plumb line. That string of the helium balloon goes all the way to the center of the earth and meets up with all the other lines that form this grid around us and their partners levity, and we can find ourselves more, just kind of feel ourselves in this invisible but very palpable field, and we're actually balancing. And how we can do that with less and less effort is a powerful thing. Just allows us a little energy conservation. And if you're lying down or you're against the back of a chair, that's fine too. You're still actually, in a strange way, you're still balancing. Gravity is helping with that. So breath, sound, and space around, and ground. Those are the code words for this attentiveness. So I'm thinking of it being Mother's Day, thinking of there's a photo I have of my dad took of a print profile, my mother and I, myself as a couple months old, maybe 4, 5, 6 months old, gazing at my mom gazing at me. Such a classic image and such a powerful, powerful part of our development, our human development, to have that gaze and that mirroring of ourself in a sense in the other's eyes. It's so important. And we look for that. Maybe there are ways we found that was insufficient in our lives, and possibly why some of us are so attracted to our dogs that love us that way, that they just have this loving gaze for us. And part of what we do in this practice of being so attentive to our movement, to our breath, to our stillness, to our being, is we give that to ourselves. And so I'd like to segue into a little breathing practice. And to do this, we'll take, I'm going to use my index fingertip and my middle finger. You could use your middle finger and what I call ring finger or fourth finger. Actually, I'm going to use those two because they're a little, index finger is more, it's probably a stronger pull feeling. Like if we're going to think of our fingertips of our fingers as a stethoscope, a gentle little stethoscope to listen for the movement of our breath. So my fingertips are, it's kind of bright in the image, they're just below my collarbone on the left side. And I'm kind of feeling that rib and the curve, the space on either side of the rib, and it's right near where it meets the breastbone. And you just need to gently lay the fingertips there, relax the shoulder. And for a few breaths, notice the movement that you feel, maybe a pulsing in the fingertips, maybe a bit of a flow. And if you're not sensing anything just right away, excuse me, just stay with it. Just listen as if somebody asked you, "Do you hear that? Listen." And you get very quiet and continue to listen and feel. Listen with all the senses. And then once you've felt a little, and even if you didn't, just move down to the next rib and the spaces around each side of it and feel that curvature of the rib. There are muscles between the ribs and connective tissue. And between the ribs, it's a softer substance. And if you're not feeling something, maybe take a deeper breath so that it does push the rib cage up a little bit. Even if you feel your whole body, the shoulders lifting, that's fine. It's all connected. And then the next set, we'll just do a little bit of this on the one side. Do a few breaths at each spot at least, and to a point where you are feeling some sort of movement. Either it's just as gentle as a tingling or the warmth, or maybe a little flow in a way, like you're a nurse or a doctor listening through this apparatus that lets you feel inside. And just pause after letting this hand come down. And then let's take the other side. Again, you can use index finger. You could use this one finger. I think two is a little better. And again, just sort of just under the collarbone, find one of the ribs and be on either side of it. I'm probably on my third rib down. The ribs, maybe I'm on my second. There's one that's kind of under the collarbone and even higher, closer to the head, or two, I don't know. And let's just gently place your hand so you're comfortable, and take a few breaths, listening, feeling. And if you notice anything arising, like some judging thoughts or a drift of your attention to something else, gently, without any fanfare, just come back and to the next rib, and I can feel the rib and sort of the curve inward toward the body on either side. A few breaths here, feeling for the movement, the rise and fall, the wave of this wind that is our breath. carries the life force. And at least one more. Let's do it one more. Maybe we did 4 places on one side. It's fine if we did, do just 3 on this side. And then let your hand come down and relax. And in this quiet and still place, just note what you feel. Maybe it's a simple word like just, I feel calm. Maybe that's not what you feel. Maybe you're distracted or there's calm, but there's could be a jitteriness. Just see what's the truth, the true experience is for you right here. And this is this great value of coming to be quieter, of giving ourselves this attention, like this gaze toward ourself, turning the gaze, which is usually outward, or it can be on ourself, but it can be in critical ways, it can be in partial ways. This is the gaze to sense the wholeness of ourself, not to fix, not to interfere, not to guide, but simply to witness. And in a sense, that witnessing, when it's full, there is a lovingness in it. It can't, I don't think it can be otherwise. But again, I leave that to your, not to believing me, but your self discovery with this process. There can be then the language, the mind can come in and have all kinds of criticisms. The emotions can be difficult, the body sensations can be difficult, but the simple awareness of ourselves is at least neutral, and I sense from my experience with it, with this kind of practice, it is kind and all accepting. You're content where you are, just sit as you are. If you need to shift a little bit, we will, I'm gonna shift my legs a little bit for a moment. I promised last week that I would talk a little bit about how we use our language, how we hear our what the commentary is or the thoughts we think and tell our things we tell ourselves, and how through this practice, what I call focusing, we can use it as an inquiry in a more whole way, and the whole what's like watching this whole canvas of ourself, get a more accurate feel, more accurate information that can take us to something that will be maybe freeing, um, maybe a greater understanding, maybe a forgiving. So it's very linked to this practice of stillness, of presence, of observing ourselves. And so just right here, whatever is coming up, maybe there's not much coming up, but perhaps there's something uncomfortable, or perhaps there's something joyful. Perhaps anything it is, and even if it's if you and give it time, listen. I feel like, well, I have nothing really to report. You can ask yourself this question like, what needs my attention or what wants my attention here? Something about myself. Maybe it's a relationship with someone, some interaction, a message you need to send and you're not sure how. It can be a million different things, infinite number of different things. It can be the back pain you're having. And give it this listening presence. Is there something more accurate? Like if it's back pain, is it like, oh, it's a burden. It's this burden I'm carrying. And just like I modeled there, if you feel courageous to do this and have the freedom of a quiet space, say it out loud to yourself as if it's your body, your being talking to you, the witnesser. It's all you, but it's reporting to you and you giving it this just listening and the more accurate. So maybe you heard it and you say, "Oh, that's not it. It's not a burden. Oh, it's a narrowing. It's something like it's limiting me, narrow." So find listen and you'll hear your own word and feel if it's the spot on one. As you get the word clearer and clearer and more accurate, often some sort of insight comes, or sometimes it's just a freeing, a lessening of that pain, of that long held emotion, grievance. For me, grief is one of the ones I've worked with that just a grief that was so hard to bear. Just the sadness is so, and this is what I work with from time to time, but I did this process help me to clear away a lot of the heaviness of it. And it's very interesting. You don't need like a therapy. You don't need to analyze it. Sometimes if there's a message given, it's just like it creates a clarity. Anyhow, thank yourself for this doing this little process with me. Let it know you're here for another session, a little inquiry session anytime, if that feels right for you. And let's slide right into our meditation where similar a similar thing can happen. The language can come up, the messages from the body, from the breath, from the mind, from the emotional heart, from our history. But during this time, we just tell it to just like take a seat, just relax for now. I'll come back to you when I'm not meditating. So let's begin our. It'll be just a 7-minute meditation today, and already much of what we've done has been very meditative. But now, deliberate stillness. If you need, like I am doing, I repositioned again. So just find that arrival at ease of placement and gravity, levity, the easy breath, or whatever the breath is showing to you. All is welcome here. And that open listening. So we take this all is welcome attitude, but that is the presence of ourself, the awareness, the boundless awareness, boundless timeless awareness is just that way. It doesn't have to try to be all welcoming. Much like the space of this room, of wherever you are, it lets in everything, the pollen, the sound, the smell, our bodies, and it's even more infinite than that. When and if you notice yourself clutching on to a thought or off in a daydream or annoyed by the pain in your knee, none of that needs to be denied, but just return to the larger space, the larger fullness of all of yourself, breath, the whole body, the feel of the loving gaze. Bit of regard. Now and then you might want to remind yourself to relax more, certain parts of you, in all of you, and to be gentle with yourself about perhaps a judgment of not being a good meditator. Not really true. If you drift somewhere or move or get distracted, it's a huge gift of this practice that we get to realize I can just effortlessly come back. And a few more breaths together. As we come to the end of this very short meditation practice to segue us out, in addition to the bow I'll do in just a moment, I'll read you another poem from Dog Songs by Mary Oliver. The Sweetness of Dogs. What do you say, Percy? I'm thinking of sitting out on the sand to watch the moon rise. It's full tonight. So we go, and the moon rises. So beautiful, it makes me shudder, makes me think about time and space, makes me take measure of myself, one iota pondering heaven. Thus we sit, myself thinking how grateful I am for the moon's perfect beauty, and also, oh, how rich it is to love the world. Percy, meanwhile, leans against me and gazes up into my face as though I were just as wonderful as the perfect moon. We have just done a practice of this kind of gazing for ourself, and we're many of us lucky enough to have creatures around who give us that gaze, hopefully friends and family who do the same. And it's super good to be able to do it for ourselves. And I know I'm a little over my 30 minutes, but I also want to mention I just heard on NPR, I think it was yesterday, poet laureate Joy Harjo, Harjo. She is of American Indian descent. And she has a book, maybe a new book out of poems about all about grief. I didn't realize I'd be mentioning my grief, but grief. And all of us have it in some ways. We all lose something moment to moment and some bigger things. And one of the poems is, or I think the whole collection is called "Washing My Mother's Body," which is a ritual that she that her people do, but she was not able to participate for some reason in that. And she was writing a poem, actually something about, or she was writing about her father's family, but this poem just came to her. It was asked to be written, and she wrote about it, and she found in the process of the writing, the creating, she got to fill some of the void. The grief will always be there, but she got to sort of witness what it would be like, or what it would have been like, or imagining herself there. And um, it was a very healing experience for her. Anyway, you can find that article on npr.org. Um, and perhaps I'll feature, maybe I'll find the poem and read it another time soon. And I thought I wanted to mention it because it's this link of this practice to feel our wholeness, to have these, I guess I call it spiritual healing. Why do we do these practices? We need something. Maybe we just need to calm down. Maybe we just need that. But it is, for me, it's finding of a wholeness and using our words the way we did in the inquiry practice, or in creative endeavors, or in sharing with friends, or however there's many different ways, but it's such an important link to our lives. To So when we just sit and there's emptiness and silence, and that's wonderful, and it's necessary, and we need this tool to be able to more and more be involved in some smaller interaction, partial, but also to remember a bigger picture, remember the support of the all-knowing, boundless God presence, whatever you call it. Um, yeah, it's helpful, and yeah, so that's why. That's the why of it. Thank you so much for your attention, for being here, for sharing this with me. I'm hoping this recording works this time. And I'll see you next Sunday. Check out sunandmoonstudio.com for more of our offerings. Ciao, ciao.